Hello, my beautiful people. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. How you doing? It's another day, another episode of Straight and Cathedral. Yeah, I just have to pin that on the comment section. Yeah, it's your boy, your favorite anchor as usual, Dimeji Shodeke. How you guys doing? How was your week? Okay, I'm 2 minutes early, so a lot of things have happened this week. One of the things that I love that happened this week is that Nathaniel Bassey dropped his album, The River. Man, I love my favorite track on that album is You Are You. You are you. You are you. Hey, you are you. The song has been on repeat ever since. There's just this happy vibe, happy connection, depths. I'm connected to that song, and that song is so beautiful. Yeah. Today's topic is going to be raising children in the diaspora. I've got one of my speakers right now online. So Adeoluwa, bravo, that's John. If you don't mind, there is an icon beneath you right now. The first icon that looks like like a video. If you click on that icon, it will say request to join the video. Request to join, then I'll accept, and that's all you have to do. So I have an announcement to make as well. I got it. Delivered to me. Nigeria and its criminal justice system. So I'm about to start reading it. I think I'm going to form a discussion out of these. And yeah, I got some very interesting books as well. There is these Black Skin, White Mask by Frantz Fanon. Actually, I've read one of his paperworks online and all. So I needed to get a book just to have. I have The Denial of Death. The Denial of Death. Actually, I came across this book from the autobiography of Will Smith. Spoke highly of this book, and I just requested for it. Then finally, Ikigai. This looks familiar. This is the album title of Olamide, the most recent album title. Actually, I saw this book on Kehinde Odaye's status long time ago, and I've just been drawn to Japan. Why? Because many people didn't know this. I was supposed to go study in Japan. I got a scholarship to go study in Japan. So prior before then, when I was trying to make my choice between Japan, actually traveling to Japan or to the UK, yeah, I started studying about Japanese culture, their language and all. I can speak few like Genki desu ka. Genki desu ka. What does Genki desu ka means? Yeah, I can just speak few languages because I was really preparing, and because I love Japan so much, I'm still going to visit Japan. I love Japan so much. Their laws, their food, their culture. Their culture is superb. The quality of life, their life expectancy, everything about Japan is. Why won't you love Japan? So so Ikigai. I got this, and I'm going to also read it. You can go ahead to buy it. Japanese culture is actually full of wisdom, global wisdom, as we all know. Okay, today's topic: raising children in the diaspora. This is actually one of the most jamming topics that we need to treat. And so, my second speaker is always on time. I can trust him for that. Mr. Tolu is always on time. My brother. So I just accepted, and you guys are going to pop up very soon. OJ, Joanna, Joanna Litebomi, Satolu Group,
How are you, sir?
Satolu Group. How are you, sir?
I'm very fine. How are you too?
I'm doing well, sir.
So I just accepted.
Very good to meet you.
I'm so happy for this session. Why? Because I actually want to beg John before that if Mr. Tolu came before him, that he should please let me do Mr. Tolu's introduction last. And because I don't to get emotional when I'm doing this introduction, and I know he understands how dear he is to me, but naturally now it came last, so I think that actually solved the equation actually.
So that's very okay. I've been trying to join on a bigger screen, but I couldn't find my way around it. If you
You
help me, I have my bigger screen here and I can see. I tried to join live.
you mean via
I
laptop?
did.
You mean via laptop? No, no, no,
Yes.
no, no.
On a tab.
Instagram does not support joining live on laptop.
It's unfortunate because anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah.
let's go ahead.
Yeah,
You
I don't
understand
know.
what I mean?
I don't know if that will be upgraded next year or something. But it's been an issue as well because we have good quality when we talk via the laptop compared to the phone. But it is what it is actually. So my brothers, you're welcome. Let me just do the real introduction real quick so we jump into the heart of the conversation. Today's topic is raising children in the diaspora. But before we go into the topic, let me introduce this amazing, amazing, amazing gentleman that God has actually made our path cross over some time, and they've actually influenced me in positive way. Right here is Mr. John Adeoluwa. Bravo. We call him OJ. OJ Wawa. See,
I'm glad to be here.
Mr. John is actually a journalist, a trained journalist. He has practiced over the years from the length and breadth in Nigeria. I think he was actually also he practiced along print media and the radio, right? Broadcast at some point.
Yeah.
So he has wealth of experience when it comes to journalism. And fortunately for us, our paths crossed when I traveled down here to study my masters, which he also came down here to study his masters. So of course, we were disruptors. We came here to create a dent. So when we were trying to push our thesis, our master's idea project, I knew from the jump that, oh, I think this brother is a troublemaker like me, because he was gunning for no. I think our first agitation started when we were told that we are not to make references, any African references. All our references should be European references, and we stood and said, no, 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 this can't be. You remember that time? And
Very well.
we pushed that no. We've studied all our years in Africa, and we can give you reference. You can go make research. It might be a time for you to also learn, but you now forcing down our throats that all our references should be European references. We're not going to take it. That it's a no for us. And I remember when we were told to do to pay a creative homage. You remember that time when I had an issue? I paid creative homage to Professor Wale Soyinka, and I was cut down. So I needed to push towards that. No, this will never happen. So I pushed that narrative, and with the support of course, my brothers, Saeed and John, we pushed the narrative and we said, no, we are not going to take this. And what Professor Wale Soyinka is someone you even gave Nobel laureate in your own land. So what do you mean? What do you mean by you don't know the man? Why that's a very, very that's a prejudice on its own, academic, however you want to put it, but that's how we see. So I remember when I was agitating to my dean, and I was, what Nigeria would call paraing. I was saying, you can't force your will down my throat. This is me. This is who I am, and this is what I'm going to give. So they had to remark, and I scored A. Everybody passed. it was happily ever after. I believe that we created a pathway in that institution that would have international students for long, because right there it was more like a classical intimidation, and we were not going to take it. So maximum respect to Mr. John. He's a very creative person whom I respect so much. He's a professional to the core. And I remember Mr. John is always trying to push. I love him for that. He doesn't settle. When we finished our masters, Baba called me again. Dimeji, we can't be sleeping like this. Let us push for a PhD. I'm already doing my PhD. Let us push. That's the spirit he has. He will push you. He wants to, like, I'm doing my PhD already. What are you doing for him? We have to push it. We are more intelligent than them. Like, Baba, I beg. Baba, I beg. So I love that spirit, that positive vibe in you. The fact that you are pushing, and you're also trying to influence your friends, influence people, and trying to say, okay, let us do this together because, and to be honest with you, your energy is what is actually going on right now. This is the age of collaboration. If you look at the recent seven doors that Femi Adebayo just released, what I'm seeing is different from what others are seeing. My question to you is, how many stars, other stars, did you see in that movie? It's more like he packed the whole Nollywood. And people would think that, oh, he has spent a lot. He could have. No. Let us look at the bigger picture here. Mr. John is influential. Mr. Tolu is influential. Mr. Dimeji is influential. Imagine us now working on the same project. We all have the same interest right now. That means I'm going to promote that work with all my influence. You are going to promote that work in your space with all your influence. Mr. Tolu is good. So that is what is going to happen. The ripple effect on the project generally is going to mean, it means it's going to be big, enormously huge, because we are promoting it, because that's our work and we've put in our best already in the work. So it's more like you are years ahead of what is going on right now. And I have to give you that flower, because that is one thing I love about you. You like collaboration. You like the fact that you actually want everybody to win, and that's a very, very positive spirit, and that's why I'm proud to call you my friend and my brother. So you're welcome officially to Street and Cathedral.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dimeji. You are actually an inspiration, to even someone like me. I'm surprised that you were speaking so highly of me. Why, in my mind, I think you're even someone I look to for motivation in a way.
Thank you very much.
So I have seen everything you have done and how far you're come. And you're not, you haven't scoped yourself around Southwest Nigeria alone, but even Africa at large and globally. And I see the waves you're making. God will continue to help you. God will continue to be with you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. I would say hyping, but thank you.
The feeling of respect is mutual, honestly. They said, show me your friend and I will tell you who you are. Actually, the right thing is show me your friend and I will tell you your future. So if I can actually see all these things in you, it also speaks highly of myself, because it now boils down to the fact that I'm conscious about the kind of people I call my friends, and not just going to make myself available for people who just want to while away time, people who just believe we got a day. And that's one language I've stopped using. I'm always telling people, Baba, me and you know got a deal. Make I Baba, we got a day. That talk is very deep. Than I don't use it carelessly anymore. Me and you know, make I even know what we got a day on top. Me and you know got a day. Actually, I want Mr. Tolu Books to come. Mr. Tolu Arogundade to come, so that I will give him his flower before. But right now, I'm
is your camera on, Dimeji? Is your camera on?
Yeah, can't you see me?
And I'm unable to see you.
Wow, I can see you.
Okay. I can see you and I can see myself. I was seeing Mr. Tu before he left, but so I'm not sure if he could see. If he comes online, then we'll confirm.
All right. Let me send him an invite and see if he's going to join. Okay. So while we're waiting for Mr. Tolu, I also want to address some issues right now. And Mr. Tolu, are you back?
I'm really sorry. I was trying to share the link to my to other platform. That's the reason why I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, are you able to see Dimeji's video? Can you see his face?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that it's just me. Then I'll just leave and then come back in and see.
Okay. You can do just that. So, Mr. Tolu Arogundade, God, see, I want all my followers to do one thing for me. Help me thank this man. Baba, thank you for answering the call of God in your life. Thank you for loving me despite my shortcomings. Baba, thank you for that simple statement that you said that changed my life. And I'm going to explain. I'm trying to control myself not to be emotional introducing this man. Baba, thank you so much being who you are.
You're welcome, sir.
You see this man. God used this man to change my life.
You're welcome, sir.
John, I won't lie to you. God used this man. I don't know when he received the call of God. I don't know how he hears God. I don't even know why he likes me. I don't know why this man loves me. I don't know why. I don't. But there is one thing I will say is that if I am going to write lists of appreciation of those God has used in my life, this man cannot pass top 20. And I'll use what happened, what transpired between us to actually pass a message to the younger generation so they understand. You see, this man, he was my senior when I was in NIG. And we barely had, that kind of deep connection while we were in school. I just know we talk very seldomly, just some very random conversation that, we just have conversation and he'll go away, he will go his way and I'll go my way. I just know he's a cool person, he's decent, he's upright, he's always not looking for trouble, and I think there is one conversation that made me realize, he's from Abeokuta, he has link with Asheru, and I explained to you, I'm Fajo, and that actually linked us up. But
yeah,
we parted ways. I was doing my thing on Facebook. There's this series of episode of writing I will release on Facebook. You understand? And this man just, Baba, I don't want to get emotional. See, this man was in US. So the conventional the expectation we have about people who were in abroad and who will be in Nigeria is that more could make like for them to have conversation with you than in Nigeria. Yeah. So this man slid to my DM and he just told me, Dimeji, why can't you publish all these things you are writing? Baba, that statement changed my life, and I'm going to explain to you how it changed my life. That simple statement changed who I am today. So it's a different thing for you to be trying to push. It's another thing for someone to support you and say, let me give this guy a platform. That's why I thank you for answering the call of God in your life. I thank you so much for saying yes to God. So when this man told me that, okay, let's publish your book, my vision changed. My trajectory changed. Everything just okay. And he started giving me the prospects of, if you publish a book and how, things can go for you. So to cut the long story short, we did that. And of course, as enthusiastic as I was just new to the, business and all. I failed in some aspect. And this is where I'm going to teach the younger generations or people coming on is that sometimes you don't want to offend people. And you not wanting to offend them, you will eventually offend them by opening up and laying it as it is, like being plain. And it is another level of arrogance that you don't know. To think that, well, when I blow finish or when everything don't stop, I will say to you. That thing can actually be misinterpreted and you might be shooting yourself in the leg because person will help you right now. Go still use them again. But just be humble and lay everything plain to him. And that's where I fought myself that I didn't lay everything plain with him. Even though I was pushing out, I was, communication is very key. And this man still loved me despite everything. Baba, now Christian you do. I don't go talk past that one.
We give glory to God, sir.
I don't want, I said I'm being careful about I don't want to be emotional,
We give glory to
this man. This man just don't love me. Make you offend person, make you say now you even they avoid the person, but make you see they call you say, Dimeji, I want to get married and you have to be part of my groomsmen. I go, this kind of human being be this one. What kind you don't understand, John. I run for you. But make you just say as your mind plain to me. This man will tell me, I get speech for NIG and I think you should come. This is constantly thinking about still putting you on. And that's why I'm saying that we should not make that mistake once once you have someone God has sent to you, Baba, see, learn how to just say, Emma Bim, Ewo, and that could solve millions of things that you are running away from. I really, really appreciate you, Mr. Tolu. In fact, this is one of the things that is making me happy about Street and Cathedral, that I can actually thank most people that God has used for me. And you are one of those people. I'm happy
We give glory
that
to
this
God.
conversation means that I really, really appreciate you. I value you and thank you. So this man is in America right now. His accolades, if I'm going to spread his accolades right now, that means we want to talk about him, not this topic. So we have just decided to talk about
Don't let us go there.
So we are just going to spare ourselves. But
Yeah.
to cut the long story short, he's the founder of Tolu Books. He's the publisher of my first novel, The Ghost of My Parents. Baba, I'm going to tell you why I said what you did changed my life. When I would travel out of, I have a friend to call Benga Oyewole. When Benga come, I'm going to give him his flower. I also have someone who she didn't know how God has also used her for me while in NRG, but that's Jennifer Idam. She's now Mrs. Oak Tree or Petit. I don't know. Mrs. Oak Petit. I don't want to, but Mrs. Oak. Maybe if Jennifer will come one day, I will also give her flower. But you, in the real sense, man. Bro,
Let's just give glory to
so
God.
the book actually.
Yeah.
When I was being interviewed by the forum that wanted to get me out of Nigeria for African Presidential Leadership Program, it was a very competitive forum, but I won't lie to you, during that interview I was tensed, and I could feel it that I was losing my place to be considered. So they were asking me my achievements. So I pointed my book like this, and I said, you wrote this book? Yes. You wrote this book? Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay. And they added me, and I was part of the 100 brilliant youths that were selected to go to Egypt.
Wow.
That book gave me that platform, Baba.
Hallelujah.
That book.
Hallelujah.
So when I say God used it to change my life, I know what I'm saying. Even deeper. Just look at me right now. I'm on my seat, and I'm giving you my word, bro. I will be tempted to say that I promise you that I will be the greatest person you ever helped.
Amen.
I am giving you my word on that.
Amen.
Because ever since I got on that spot running, I remember where I was coming from. It's dark. I just want to go back and widen that gap and shed more light. And I keep telling people, without people, Dimension Shudeka is nobody. Exactly. People think I'm just trying to cajole. I'm not cajoling, bro. I am nobody. You put me on when it was you. I would have done nothing if you, Baba.
It's God. It's God. And you know one thing that I just want to mention, and it's good we're actually talking about young people, raising young people also, is that when people give you, when people open the door for you, and we see it in the Western world that when you are going into somewhere, into a store, and you open the door, or you are coming behind somebody will open the door for you. You understand?
So you push the door.
And you hold the door for somebody else to come in. You understand? And I think that is life for me. That's the way I've seen life. You understand that wherever opportunity that I have, or whatever platform that I have, is not my platform. God just used me to be on that platform, but it's not for me. It's for me to be able to open doors for people coming behind me. You understand? So I will never take any glory of whatever I've done, because I know the reason why the opportunity was given. It's just so that I will be able to help you. And there are other guys too that I did publishing book for and everything. And I did that. And you wouldn't even believe, 2020, I sold the company. You understand? And I know that is not why we are here today. But the point is, if somebody has helped you, also, that's always what I tell people. I've helped you. Please look for other young person somewhere that might not even be able to pay you back, and do that same thing for that person. Let that goodness, that favor, let it keep going on. You understand? That's my philosophy about life. That's what that's what I do every time. I open door God opened up for me, I will see how I can open that door for you. If I have a speaking platform somewhere in America now, and I feel that, oh, if it will fit your this thing, I'm not.
I know.
I'll
I
call
know.
you. Hey,
I
but
even I
this
believe. I
somebody
believe.
come and talk. Oh, I think that's
I
life. I think
believe.
that's
I
life.
believe.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you
very
so
much.
much, sir. And I
So,
really appreciate you inviting me. I really, I thank God for. It was the GO. He didn't tell everybody about that. It was the GO of the fellowship at NIJ. It was the GO, the general overseer of the fellowship. So he has grace on him also.
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you. As a matter of fact, that now this is where I was telling John that this is the age of collaboration, and I use an example. I said, okay, if we look at what is going on right now, we will see that what is going on right now, people are not bringing bad energies or beef into any industry anymore. People want to collaborate because right now we are seeing that it is through collaboration that we can make things happen. So we can see that happening in music. Anybody still coming with bad energy to Baba, nobody's ready for it. People want to make money. People want to make this thing go bigger than it is. We can see what is going on in the movie industry. I gave an example, John. You remember that 7 Doors. I said, count how many stars. Kunle Afolayan is doing it with his Anikula Kosi. Count how many Nollywood stars there. That because these people understand that okay, Mr. Tolu is an icon. He has people who follow him. So Mr. Tolu on my project, Dimeji on John's project, John on that means you are going to promote those work, and that means that has a very good positive ripple effect on the whole project on its own. So this is what people are doing right now. People are collaborating, they are harnessing that. So this is not the age of I want to be on my own. People, man, if you are doing that right now, you are lagging there. So let us go into the topic right now. But before then, let me introduce you to Street and Cathedral. Like you said, well, to be honest with you, Street and Cathedral is an idea given to me by God. So upon my meditation, I was just meditating and thinking that God, what is the next thing? And I realized that something happened to me when I left NIG, and I won't lie to you, it's actually a personal thing, and I really don't want to be at that front stage of being a preacher like that. But there's no way I can escape destiny. It's still more like a voice still keep coming for me in a way. And streets is the voice of the people, and this has to do with empowerment. People that I know, brilliant people that I know, we are members of the society. We know, you and I know, that it's not all celebrities that are worth following. As a matter of fact, some celebrities are not people that you even consider as icons. It's not pride, but it's just because of who we are. But we have our own voice too, and we can't let these people be our own avenue or voice and saying they are speaking our mind. So that's one. Two, cathedral, on the other hand, cathedral is a spiritual alignment. You know, cathedral is a spiritual alignment, and respect to everybody's spirituality. We have to push humanity forward before we now start saying religion, start viewing religion as a divisive tendency. As a matter of fact, anything that we practice that does not respect humanity, that does not value, Christianity says love your neighbor as yourself. Doesn't say love your fellow Christian as yourself. Love your neighbor. So regardless, so humanity forward. So we have to have that conversation, and those topics that we that always come up on this platform, this podcast, are topics that are so germane to us, that are affecting us, that we feel that we can learn from when people discuss, and that is what Street and Cathedral represents. So, my brothers, you're officially welcome to Street and Cathedral.
Yeah.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Dimeji, before you continue, I'm going to minimize my screen so that I can use my GPS. I have to start driving back home, but I will contribute.
No problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Now,
sir.
the topic at hand says it says raising children in the diaspora. You would agree with me that this is the fear of many African parents. So I called Mr. Tolu here because Mr. Tolu had his own child in the diaspora. My brother, Mr. John, brought his child in. Took his child. So he had his child, he had his children, he had his children in Nigeria and brought them in. So of course, this is going to be a balanced conversation. I was supposed to have a lady from my university. She's a year junior. She was supposed to be on our platform. She's a sit-home mom, but due to unavoidable reasons, she couldn't be, like I explained. So now the topic at hand, we can see that many people come here and they say, "How more this place is better with them," but we also have pros and cons. That's why we have conversations like this. And so let us first talk about the challenges of raising African children, particularly in the diaspora. I want us to pick it from that cultural clash first. The cultural clash that they experience, or the cultural clash that happens between the parent and the child. What the parent hold as value, and what these children grew up to say, this is not, a thing of value to me, Dad. I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. I don't give any. I don't care about this, Dad. And you're saying no. You have to, this. What are those things right now? How do you think the exposure of diverse cultures has influenced the identity formation of African children in the diaspora? So, John, you can kick in first.
Okay, thank you, Dimeji, for providing this platform to discuss a very important topic that concerns me personally as a parent, as a father. But let's clarify that the meaning of child is not the same thing. The meaning of child in the West. When I talk about the West, I live in England, so I'll be, talking in the perspective of the English culture, and I was born and raised in the Yoruba culture, so I'll be talking in this frame of contrasts. So the meaning of child in the English culture, or generally Western culture, and the Yoruba culture where I grew up, Omo, are not the same. We always translate child to mean Omo and Omo to mean child, but it's not the same. In the Western culture, here in England, a child has to do with a biological status of age. But in the Yoruba culture where I grew from, Omo is different. It only has a bit to do with age and a lot more to do with an embodiment of many factors. To call someone an Omo, it comes with at least four knowledge, four categories of knowledge, at least four categories of knowledge. And number one is the knowledge at the home front. We call it a koile. Then the knowledge of schooling, a koiwe. We have that one of religion. We call it a koesin. Then there is another one that you can call a folk knowledge or community knowledge, which is a core adugbo or ilu tebangbe, or like a tribal thing. So at least four of those things embodies what we call a person. So when you refer to someone as a child or Omo, I don't want to use the word child because Omo means something different. So in our culture, the philosophy of Omo is an embodiment of all these things. That's why we have someone who has all of this character, all of this knowledge. We call the person Omoluabi. So yeah, we call the person Omoluabi. That is someone who has knowledge from the home front. Home training. Someone who has a koiwe or boya someone who has a koesin, and then who also understand the community and then the folk system. Now, wherever you find a young person who is not behaving in alignment with discipline and core knowledge, they call that person boya abiko. But if the parent is there, they will defend themselves. No, Konshi Abiko is a callback. That is, we've trained this person. Yeah, he has only refused or declined to apply the knowledge we have input into him. So all of these things make a human being. A human being, a complete human being, is what Yoruba philosophy call Omo. And that is why there is even a chieftaincy title for it. Like we have Okonlomo or Uluomo. So I remember back in 2003, there was this Battle of the Omos, where we have Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, the Okolomo then was his, and then OGD came, Oji Otunba Daniel came in as an opposition, and he came with Ogidi Omo. So we had people who will say, I'm for Okolomo, others will say, I'm Ogidi Omo. All of this at one point are to say is all an embodiment of nobility, personality, discipline, and someone who can move the community forward. So that is the understanding of the philosophy of Yoruba in terms of what Omo means and what contributes to a person. Now, in the West, this, the idea of a child is just about age, and the only available knowledge that we talk about is that of the school. And in this regard, the government has so much, put himself in between everything that you want to do. At the home front, the government is there through the health and safety, safeguarding team, the council, and all of that. In school, of course, obviously that belongs to the government. Then in the community, is more of an individualized society, so nobody gets in touch. In Yoruba system, your parents will tell you when you're bimo gbogbo ilu. So that is to say, though we gave birth to you biologically, but the community will have to bring involved in your upbringing, instill good knowledge, good culture, modesty into you. But you don't have that here. So these are the challenges that
parents. Listen, that value you just talked about, do you think our community back at home still holds such value, or it's something that has declined, or it is declining?
I think it is declining. I really, really do think it is declining. It's not been long I left the Yoruba culture, and I'm still well in touch. I can see what is going on. Yeah, I think it is declining. Nevertheless, homes who still hold those things dear, hold them dear. People who find value in this kind of things, in this culture, still hold them there. So it depends from place to place.
Okay.
But generally, there is a decline.
Thank you very
much. That value.
I'll take that as an opening speech. Hold your thought for 1 second, and let me ask Mr. Tolu to also jump in. Mr. Tolu, are you still with us? Mr. Tolu, are you still with us? Okay, I think we lost him for 1 second. Since he's in transit.
Reach him. Are you able to reach him on WhatsApp just to be sure? Yeah. Because he's.
I'll reach him. Let's just continue. He's on transit. He already told me he will drive, all the way home. So in a few minutes he should be home, and he will be settled. So now let us move our conversation forward. But before then, let me chip this in. Have you observed any particular challenges in all these things that you've played out? In raising that children. Now we have dual identities. You've presented dual identities already. So do you actually see challenges arising in actually raising children in this in this supposed reality that we found ourselves as immigrants or African parents in the diaspora?
I'll say personally, I'm glad, I'm grateful that I was born in the culture in which I was born in. I wish, I pray that I had been able to raise my children in that same culture. Yeah, it is very easy for you to get on flights and travel 3,000 down the the miles, but how do you bring the embodiment of life, culture, things that you hold their value with you, things that are intangible, the intangible value, such as these things we have discussed? Those things are not very available, readily available in this environment, and that is the challenge which you have mentioned. Is a very, very big one, very tasking one.
Well, so what strategies would you say it's best for African parents to adopt to make sure that their children still maintain this African heritage connection?
Let's clarify it.
Okay.
It is impossible to recreate the Yoruba culture in England, for example. It is very, very, it is so impossible. There is no way around it. You cannot recreate it, because all of those things that I have mentioned, I said at least 4 categories of knowledge. You can't bring the community teaching, the community knowledge, the folk knowledge, the tribal knowledge. You can't bring them with you. So there is no strategy that anybody can use to replace those values.
Are you in particular with juxtaposing between the English, like you said, the English culture and Yoruba? Because if we go to other diaspora country now, we talk about Brazil and we see how Yoruba culture is thriving over there. So I'm just trying to make.
We have to be specific, Dimeji. When we talk about Mr. Tolu is back. Thank you.
Yeah, I was hearing you guys, but you guys could not hear me.
Okay, Mr. Tolu, wait, John, just hold yourself. Let me have Mr. Tolu's intro as well. Mr. Tolu, my question for you is this: we have cultural culture clash from the jump once we came here. So now this culture clash is not just affecting we the adults, that we've grown with a certain mentality and cultural tenets and everything. We are also raising children in all these cultural clashes. So how would you say in your own aspect you've observed the particular challenges that arise when children are exposed to these dual identities in a multicultural context in the diaspora?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. John. Thank you. I was listening to you, and you make a very good analogy and observation about the homos, and how we learn from the family to the culture to the society. And you make mention, and this is an adage that it's a family that gives birth to a child, but it's a village that raised a child. So I like that fact that you were able to break it down to help us see deeper into what is actually called Omo, which is a child. It explains to us the different aspects of Omo, which is a child. To also buttress what you said, Mr. John, is that is a circle. If that circle is not complete, wherever you are, as a Yoruba person, as a Nigerian person, if that circle of learning is not complete, we will see it showing in individuals' life, because that learning is not complete.
Exactly.
To answer your question, Mr. Dimeji, is there are cultural shock, because I have a son now, and I also have a daughter. So
you have a daughter now?
Yeah.
Wow. I thought it's just a boy.
She's 4 months now.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. So the point for me is that the way I was raised up was it's different from the way I have to raise my kids. The cultural shock that I'm facing right now is raising my kids the way the Western world want me to raise it, not the way I was being raised up. And to also make it clear that there are ways that I was raised up that I can't raise my kids that way. So if we want to look at it, there are advantages and disadvantages to it. There are advantages to the way the Western world is raising up their kids. There is advantage to the way we were being raised up from Africa, from Nigeria, and there are also disadvantages. In the environment or the family that I grew up, they gave us the opportunity to share our thoughts. My dad will always say, okay, what do you have to say about this? In some other homes, they don't give them that opportunity.
They shout them down.
They shut them down. They say, oh, you don't have to say anything.
When adults
keep short.
are talking.
When adults are talking, keep short. To make it a Western world thing. Because I grew up in Nigeria, and that's the way my parents raised me. That we sit down together and we have family meeting, and we all talk. You understand?
Yeah.
Maybe because they are exposed, but raising up kids in my own way, the way I was being raised up, it's going to be different from the way I raise my kids because of the environment where they are, number one. Number two, if not for even the environment, if I'm in Nigeria, with the little knowledge that I've gathered over the years, I want to raise my kids more better than the way I was raised up. You understand? Because I want us to be able to balance it, to be able to know that it's not everything about the Western world raising up kids that is 100% wrong. There are things that 100% I will not want to emulate at all. I will not want to. But there are things that I've seen that even that I would want to look into that in raising up my kids. So that's my point.
So if I'll get you right now, Mr. Tolu, let me keep this in. Regardless of the environment, there are some nuances that we also wish to correct that we don't want to bring from our own upbringing that we feel that is wrong. Now,
exactly.
Imagine that with the fact that not everything from our culture is entirely bad as well.
Exactly.
We are now faced with an environment that is kind of, telling us something different from our culture, that this is the way you are meant to do it. It's already a clash. Now, someone asked an important question here, which I want you to react to quickly. Says, but how do Indians do it in the diaspora? So I want you to react to it.
Let me, Mr. John, I'm so sorry. Let me just quickly, because I have an Indian colleague who has a child. And the point is, when we see scenarios like this, if we don't know about them, it's what we hear that we always want to figure out, oh, what is like, this is the way they say they always do it. Indians also, they are also facing their own challenges in their own way of raising up their kids. My colleague now, she told me that her daughter cannot even, that if she wants to threaten her daughter, she will tell her daughter that I will send you to Indian. You understand? Because she's now westernized. You understand? She was born in America. You can't ask her that where are you from, and she'll say that I'm from India. No, she'll tell you that I'm from America. They are also holding on to the tail of their own culture here in America.
Okay.
You understand? So they try, the good ones try. And I've seen some Nigerians. I have Nigerians who have kids here. Those kids are born here. Mr. John and Mr. Dimeji, if you see those kids, the girl will kneel down to greet you. The boy will prostrate to greet you.
Yeah.
And they were born in America.
Yeah. Big shout out to Pastor Adeshino of Scotland. Exactly what you just said right now. They ensure that they instill those values in those children.
Inside them.
Yeah. So big shout out to Pastor Adeshino of Redeemed Church. That's the Fountain of Living Water in Scotland. Yeah. Continue. And also, now what you just said right now, I think a celebrity came on board to say that on screen recently. Jack Chan said it in one of his interview that in China, there's a certain way they put their shoes, and when they see an adult, you stand up, they bow. He said his own son. You can go and listen to the podcast. He said his own son will be like this. That he will enter his son will say, "Hey dad, what's up?" I'm like, what's going on? You're Chinese. Why are you acting this way? So we are having a very valid conversation that is really, is germane, and I think it's affecting all and sundry right now in the diaspora. But regardless, we still need to keep talking about this. Mr. Tolu, please land your thoughts and let me take that as your opening speech.
Yeah. So the idea is we should not. There are ways that we are being raised. We are raised up. I was raised up in a particular way. I'm working on the way I raised up so that I can raise up my kids in that way also. I'm trying to blend the way my parents raised me to be able to raise my kids also in that way also. You understand? To be able not just to throw it away. I don't want to throw away the way my parents raised me because I'm not in the Western world. I want to be able to synchronize both of them together so that I'll be able to remove the good ones and the bad ones and stick with the good ones.
Okay.
And then be able to create a way for, a proper way to raise my own kids.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask separate questions for both of you. But if you feel like you want to buttress on the old question, for you to move to your own new question, you feel free. So, Mr. John, this is for you. Let's talk about educational opportunities. So one of the things that we feel that it's actually top notch as African parents in the diaspora is the educational opportunities that this diaspora presents. But I've listened to argument as well. Listened to various podcasts where there's compare and contrast, and I'm starting to ask. So what are they really saying? My question would be for you right now. That can you share your own personal experience stories as an African parent? Because I purposefully called you to this program because I know you took your own kids from Nigeria down here. You, unlike us, me and Mr. Tolu, we had our kid here, so you are the perfect person to ask about that educational opportunities. What do you have to say as an African parent in relation to educational opportunities in diaspora?
Maybe let's break it down. I know what you are trying to say is academic opportunities.
Okay.
But I'm a fan, I'm an advocate of all-round education. While I will talk about academic as the last statement, I would like to pick from what education means and what should be generally for children. Education in line of academic schooling, I think carries less than 50% of what makes a human being a human being. In the general ideology of the Yoruba philosophy of a personality, there are very germane types of education that make person a person. And that is why Yoruba philosophy, I keep mentioning Yoruba so that people will understand where I'm coming from. That is the lived experience that I have had. Yoruba philosophy essentialize character as the most important attribute of a person to be a person. Only tí ọmọ bá ti sọ ìwà nù kò sí nǹkan kan mọ́, and they said that ìwà òun ni ẹwà. So when someone has lost his character or her character, the personhood is already lost. And this is because in my growing up, I happen to not have the luxury of top academic institutions from primary school to secondary school and to higher institution. It was all hustle through. But I was a thoroughbred person, an all-round education. In Yoruba homes, apart from the 4 categories of education, there is also a form of apprenticeship education that builds resilience into a person. When you are growing up or when you become independent, when you come of age, those things are the things that carry you through life. Those are the knowledge that you have used to carry you. It's not the education, academic education you have, Imeji, that have taken you to Egypt. The things you are doing now, the resilience you have built, it is because of those type of instilled education, knowledge, all-round education, thoroughbred. Yorùbá ní ó ti ṣe jiná, ó ti kọ́ dáadáa, ẹni tá kọ́ dáadáa, ẹni tá bí ń lere, tá dẹ̀ tún kọ́ lere. So all this type of education, all this embodiment of education, all-round education, it's important. For academic, there are more, it appears so that there is an open academic system.
I like it's obvious it's obvious you're a journalist. Your choice of words, it appears so. Continue, please.
And this is agreeable. Yeah, I can say that because you can equally have children or someone who happen to study here and is no halfway in terms of knowledge. I'm even talking about academic knowledge compared to someone who had come from Nigeria, who has studied in a low standard school. So, you can have academic opportunities here, but the individual is unable to apply those opportunities into his or her personality. So someone who has come from Alagbole Secondary School may come to the UK and be doing better, compared to someone who went to grammar school in London. So that is why I said, all these things are relative when we talk about academic.
I think I understand you in some ways.
Yeah, academic
at the back of my mind,
opportunities.
I'm chipping in also financial literacy and some other encompassing thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah, continue.
So academic opportunities seems to abound here because of the liberal. The English system is so liberal. The liberal way of their education, there is no emphasis on privatization. Government has taken care of a lot of things, and the system is built, to last, to deliver. So yeah, I think that opportunity is there compared to what we have at
Let
home.
me say thank you on that. You are always, going in depth. I'll take this to Mr. Tolu. Mr. Tolu, are you still with us? Okay, let us move ahead. I hope he's going to rejoin. Let's move ahead. I have another question for you, John.
Okay.
And this question is one of the most difficult things. I want you and Mr. Tolu to jump on board, but it's a reality. We saw what transpired months ago here. I'm talking about the infamous protest against immigrants, whatnot, we taking their job space and coaching them. So my question is, how do we, in our teaching as well, because this is one of the most difficult tasks of a parent, explain prejudices. I'm careful of other words in the bracket of prejudices, which I know you understand.
Yeah.
How do an African immigrant explain prejudices amidst everything that is interplaying?
You see, the best thing to do is just to be original and be transparent to your children. I'm trying as much as possible. I'm doing that in my corner. You have to be transparent with them. The language that you had growing up, go back to that. It's very useful. It's very valuable. It is said in Yoruba, "Roti ọmọ ẹni tó ń ṣe, roti ibi tó ti wá, roti ilé tó ti jáde wá." So you have to connect your children. Put a mirror, when I mean mirror, this is in abstract, not the physical mirror. Put a mirror in front of them to reflect their identity back to them. While you reflect this identity back to them, you also have to tell them the strengths of having this kind of identity. The identity, your Nigerianness, your value, your culture, what makes you, why you are in a different environment. Why is this different from where you are coming from? What is useful from there? So all of these things boils down to how parents are able to take up the responsibility of training. Responsibility of training is very, very important. But you can do that. It doesn't mean that the children will accept, if you understand what I mean. But you have to fulfill that part and continue to do it. I was reading one of my mentor's book this morning, Dr. Abibola Mitoye, and he said that children see the identity of God in their fathers. So you have to present yourself as a parent in order that for a child to understand God, he will be seeing God by seeing his father. So yeah, that is what we have to be. I think Mr. Tolu is
Mr. Tolu, I have a special question for you. There is a general misconceptions about African migrant families in abroad naturally, and it is always attached to either this misconception about economic challenges, ungovernable society, war zones, and everything. But we also know that this is not true. It is like a stereotype story. It's like a one story told, just like Chimamanda Adichie said, which is not entirely true. So I want to ask you these questions. That okay, fine. How has all these, one one narrative played a role on African migrant families raising children abroad. It's like a dent on them. And so, can you discuss also how do economic hardship impact the parenting styles and aspirations of African migrants of their children?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. This is a good question, and one of the things that I see is that the story of hardship and everything, it's what has been told by the media. So when it's told by the media, so when you get here and you ask and people ask you where are you from, and you said, oh, I'm from Nigeria, the first thing that comes to their mind is hardship. It's not because the migrants or we came, we actually told them that, oh, we are suffering. It's because that is what they already have in their mind, that, okay, this is what is happening to these people over there. What I always tell people that the way our stories will be told will be depending on the way we see ourselves and the way we carry ourselves. So when people come here and they feel that, oh, this person is coming from a underdeveloped nation, it is not our own point to now like look at it in a way that, okay, how can I change this narrative? At the beginning of this section, you said something about you and Mr. John, that when you guys were doing your masters, and they actually want you guys to use they don't want you to use anybody from Africa. But you told them you were able to stand your ground and said, no, this is what I want. I don't want this. This is what I want. I think when we are coming from, most of us, when we are coming from Africa also, I don't want to use Nigeria, but Nigeria is a case study. When we are coming in, what most of us did was we already make the white people God in our head. We see them as, oh, they are the best thing after Jesus Christ. They can't do no wrong. We will give them all their flyers. So if they tell you to sit down there, you sit down there. If they tell you to do this, you do that. That affected most of us. I won't want to say I'm not part of it. Most of us, when we got here, to be able to adjust because of the way we've already pre-analyzed them, or we've seen them. Financial hardship would definitely happen to anybody who are immigrants, irrespective of where you're coming from. I just want us to have that one clear. Irrespective of where you're coming from, you will have that financial hardship. When I got to America, I started living with my brother. My brother has been here for probably close to 30, 40 years. But at some point, I had to live alone. But I still had to face the hardship. The point is, you will face the hardship, the financial hardship will be there. And if you hear stories about Nigerians who are in Western world, we don't give up.
Yeah, yeah.
That is one thing. We might come to this country, and those are like Indians also. That we might come to any country with $1, and at the end of the year or in 5 years, we are having our own business. We are controlling things. So the hardship is there. Getting around the hardship when we get here is the point now. How do we get around those hardships? For me, and I always tell people that community is very important. Because in America here, there are communities of Nigerians, there are communities of Yorubas, there are communities of Igbo people, there are communities that help people like us when we got here to be able to stand. And those kind of community are churches. And
Yeah.
I will always say that churches, you understand, the church I attend, the teenagers pastor, every parent loves to bring their kids to church on Sunday because they know that this woman would give them the proper training. If just for one day, for 2 hours, for 3 hours.
Let me buttress your point. I mean, I won't lie to you. That's why I'm saying a big shout out to Pastor and Pastor Mrs. Additional of Scotland as the Fountain of Living Water. Those fantastic people, and man, that family actually helped me in the proper integration into the UK. I had my son. They were so supportive, and it's all love. And that's one thing that I love when you mention that, because a lot of people have this wrong notion of once they come here, they want to throw everything out of the window. Church bow, offering, tithes, and this and that. Slow down. We all have what is called agent of socialization. We read it, and religion is one of it. So how can you now keep shooting yourself in the leg when you have venues that have been created in order to make life easier for you? So is either do you want to win arguments or you want to win in life? So I'm just trying to buttress what you say, because I understand people's concern about excesses in religion, but at the same time, it's not all bad. It's not all bad. So land your point, and let us just move to the last question.
To round up that point is, there are people come in and we have different, like I said, who we mingle with, who our kids mingle with, will determine what we want to, how we want to parent our kids.
But we can actually control and influence that angle too.
We can actually control it, because number one is, I have 4 of my brothers, or 3 of my brothers are here, 3 of them, and they've been here before I came in. They have their own kids. I'm seeing the way they are training their kids. You understand? There is a blueprint of Tolu. This is how to treat your kids. This is how to treat them. There are things that are doing that I will not do. You understand? There is already a blueprint. The idea for most of us who are coming to the Western world is for us to look for a model. When we see a model, don't copy the old model.
Yeah.
It's for you to look at that model and look at the model. Okay, what are the good things I can pick up from this model? What are the ones that are not good that I can leave out? What are the good things about the way they brought me up that I want to teach my kids? I'm reading a book now. It's titled How to Listen. Very amazing book. It's a perfect book. How to Listen. The author said that people listen in different ways. He said our kids listen to us by our action, not by our words. It's by our action. It's the way we act. That is the way our kids listen to us. My wife listens to me because I just listen to her. Because when she's talking, I keep quiet. I just want her to talk. My team that I manage, they listen to me because I trust them. Not because I speak to them. It's because I trust them. So there are different ways that our kids can listen to us. It's not by we shouting. And I was talking to somebody yesterday. I always shout on my son. Hey, sit down there. Hey, stand up there.
Yoruba mother just left the group chat you just created now.
So that is the point, that listening, these things are important. They're very important for us to, and I know that probably you will get to that point, not leaving our kids. When our kids go out, they teach them something. When they come back home, let's sit down with them and ask them, Kilo ko any school? Kilo ko? Look at what they taught them.
Okay, let me just take that.
Stop there.
I'm sorry to cut you because
No,
we
I'll stop there. Yeah.
we are also managing time. That's a very brilliant submission. And you permit me, let us move to our conclusion. And because I know we are on the move. I can see Mr. Tolu. I know Mr. John also is a very very busy man, very busy person. And I appreciate you guys for actually devising time and say, let me support this podcast. I appreciate you. So my question is this. So your question, I want you to end it with the message you want to convey to African immigrants who may be struggling with raising their children in diaspora. But let's start with this. What do you think are necessary? Those things are necessary for African migrant families in raising their children in the diaspora. So now I will now want you to end it with your own message, personal message you want to give to people right now struggling with raising their children. So Mr. John, jump in for then Mr. Tolu. You jump in just end the session.
It's a very big challenge. I can't say I'm not struggling either. It's a big challenge. I've only been in England for just over 3 years, and do you know your first 5 year is your settling year, so it is very, very difficult to manage job, manage the home front, manage family back home, and make sure everything is working. Child training itself, it's a full-time focus. If you have no other thing distracting you, if you now compare staying in the country, having getting a permanent visa, things that those kind of struggles
Headaches.
that you have to face, and then you are at the mercy of an employer that would dictate how your week runs.
And once again, and people are also amidst all these things, I'm just adding, people are also faced with family issues of saying they are faced with divorce at the verge of single parents.
Exactly.
I'm like,
many people, you see, we should just be grateful if you are still, third year, you are still able to put your family together. There are people that we know or we hear from that have run into trouble, with either spouse or with children. I have a very a practical example of that. It was almost going to degenerate into trouble. It was the first year that we came in, and my young boy, who was just in the high school, he came in, and I've been here before he joined, and then he went to school. He had a fight with some students in school, and they said, all right, they will have to report to the parents. And he said, ever so daddy me or know me. So you see, he just came in. It was innocent saying that you say back home, just when you want to get yourself out of trouble. So the safeguarding team, teachers will raise it to safeguarding team will raise it to the police, and then they will have to investigate if something like that is ongoing. So they now have to come in, gather evidence, and say, okay, we understand. I had to explain to them. He said that out of panic, not because anybody was, lashing him at home. So these are just tip of the iceberg of what many families.
I've had cases of people who the child went to school with bruise, and social services had to take the child into custody.
A lot. In short, there are some children that with no bruises, that just for them to be able to find their way with the parent, just to get something, they will be threatening parent with, I will call 999 or I will go to the police. These are stories that we hear and that we see all around us. So it is very difficult managing all of this. We are all struggling, especially when you are yet to really settle well into the country in your first 5 years. So all
Advice.
the
What's your
things.
advice in this? Sure.
No, I've not even got to the part of answering the questions. Those are just now. What strategies have I adopted on my own? Those strategies are to bring back the values which you have also learned growing up. Set up a meeting. I do have family meetings, even though they are young. You see them together. Every child. It's very I won't say easy, but it is better that you had your children in the UK or in the US, because it is easy at that age to start understanding them from the beginning and preempt what will happen at age 5, age 7, and then you start, giving them the type of messages, type of understanding. So this will grow up with them and it will be easy. But when you bring them as they're experiencing cultural shock, yeah, they are also experiencing that cultural shock. You understand? So part of the cultural shock was the experience of my child that I just said. It was a cultural shock. It's something that you can say without any trouble back home. But saying that thing here, he didn't know it meant a lot.
Wow.
So that's part of the cultural shock. So as they're experiencing it, they're also experiencing it. So it means you have extra time spending with them to talk. You have to closely monitor. You can leave your child, take a bath, wear your uniform and go to school. But in this case, you can't do that. You have to closely monitor when they go, closely monitor when they come, sit with them, ask what has happened in school, know who they are relating with. And now it is time of phone. A child will get to a level where they will need to, one way or the other, use the internet. If they want to participate on team meeting, they've given them Microsoft team assignments, they will have online Blackboard, all of this participation are there. So it means you can't block them away totally from the internet practice. So how do you now manage all of these things? How do you make sure they don't use phones all through the night because they have class in the morning? So these are very difficult, but in Yoruba they will say "Ọmọ lọ́jọ́ ọ̀la èèyàn, ọmọ làṣẹ̀yìndè èèyàn." Another ideology of Omo is the legacy of the parent. So if African parents prioritize the £10 or £50 or the £100 daily over all these things, that £100 will not be there to save the day when these children lose the value that they should have learned, the time, the quality time that you should have spent with them, and all the knowledge that should have input into them. So, as a parent, as a African parent, as a migrant parent here, all the work that the community will do back home, that the school will do, that the church will do, that the parents will do, that the siblings, niece, uncle, and everybody, cousins will do, you will carry the bulk of it. If you have someone to help you around, church or people who live around you, you are lucky. Some people don't have that. So if you have it around you, good. But if you don't, you have to carry all of this body. That is why I said there is really no silver bullet kind of strategy that you can use to mitigate these adverse effects.
Well,
but
John,
you can manage them. You can manage them.
I would have to
spending quality time.
I have to interject because of time. I want Mr. Tolu to also give his. I'm sorry. I just have to interject.
That's it anyway. I think I
Thank you very
already.
much. That was a very brilliant submission. Mr. Tolu, the same question, and I want to also hear your reaction in a few minutes, sir.
Okay. So, thank you so much again for that. And to sum everything up from my own side, I feel that like I said, I have a 14-month baby and I have a 4-month-old baby. It's a different world to me entirely now. One of the things that I'm doing right now is to pray for them. I believe so much. I'm a prayer person, so I pray for them. You understand? Because I know what is happening outside, and I just pray for them because there is more to little that we as parents can do once they grew up and they leave our house and everything. What I do is I just commit them to God's hand and let them know that praying for them as actually, is my go-to. Is my go-to. Even when she's not, even when my son or probably they are not feeling fine, I will tell my wife that, have you prayed about it? Even before we do anything, I'll tell her that have you prayed about it? Because I believe that in prayer, that is where we get answers. So prayer is a very good thing. We should pray for them. We should declare the word of God over their life over and over. That's a job that we need to do. We need to get better at as parents. That's one of the things I'm working on, to declare the word of God over them over and over and over. Whatever we want them to be, we should say it. We should keep proclaiming it, that this is what I want you to be. This is what I want you to be. This is what I want to be. I think that's my first one. The other thing is knowledge. I love information. I love information. I love wisdom. You know. So let's read books. There are books there's a book that I read a long time. Even before I have kids, I read that book. And it kind of just changed my mentality about raising up kids. It just kind of changed my mind about raising up kids. So let's get information. Let's get information, because the information that we get would really help us. Coupled with prayer and you getting the right information, it will go a long way. Another thing is have mentors. We all have a spiritual mentor, financial mentor, career mentor. Do we have parental mentors? We need to have mentors, people who have kids to help dagba, they've gone above our own stage now. Let's talk to them. Let's make them our mentors. They might not be financially wealthy, but you've seen that the way they are raising up their kids is good. Like what Mr. John mentioned now, I've picked something there now. Okay, this is what, I picked something there. We need mentors. Parental mentors are important. Let's pray. Let's educate ourselves. Let's have parental mentors. Parental mentors, we want our kids to be like those kids also. Let's engage those parents. Let's talk to them about they say, and they're Africans too. How are you doing it? What is it that you did that I need to implement? What are these? What are these? When we get back to my son, people gave us advice. We actually talk to people. Tolu Eshebai, Tolu Eshebai, Tolu Eshebai. It actually helped us. So that is what I will encourage us to do. People listening to us, that's what I want to end with. Number one, pray and decree the word of God over their life. If you're a Christian, decree a word of God over their life. If you're not a Christian, find some motivational words and say it to them. Say those strong motivational words to them. Say it is good. The other thing is read books. There are books for kids. There are on psychologists, on counselors. There are even men of God, women of God wrote some books. Let's read those books. And the last thing is let's have mentors, parental mentors, so that they can
emphasis on that books. In short, it's one of my strategies that I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very key to recommend books. You give them as an assignment. When you read this, after finishing it, there is carrots. So, yeah. To summarize, then they will know there is always a gift or something good coming with it. So I think this really helps children grow.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you guys. Thank you very, very much. Words are not enough to describe what we've just done right now, and I appreciate you for all of your teaching and your time. This is me saying thank you, and next week we're going to have another session on Street and Cathedral. So I'll say bye for now, and big shout out to you from America, big shout out to you from England, and big shout out to you from Belfast. One love.
Thank you,
Thank you, boss. Yeah.